Stand by, stand by. Switching from human mode to dad mode. Initializing sequence. In 3, 2, 1. This is Dad Mode, the podcast where we navigate the chaotic realms of parenting, gaming, content creation, work, and hell, just life in general. We're diving into the challenges of raising kids in the digital age, from social media madness to navigating the gaming landscape. We're talking about it all, especially from a dad's perspective. Whether it's conquering the latest game, creating content that's more than just a hobby, or just trying to keep up with the ever-changing tech landscape, we're right there with you. We want to help you navigate this wild journey of parenthood and modern life, from balancing family time to managing your career and still squeezing in some gaming and content creation. It's all about fun, some dad wisdom, and a whole lot of dad mode. Now your hosts, Bearded Nova and more.
So we are joined today on Dad Mode with Nerdstorm. He is a Twitch streamer, he is a YouTuber, he is a TikToker. Nerdstorm, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good. Thank you for having me here.
All right, thank you for coming. I know you were rushed back from work too, so we appreciate you that little quick turnaround.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's right. It's Friday there.
Yeah. The Friday before Christmas. So
I'm Saturday lunch. I'm screwed right now. We're recording this.
Man. So we're gonna kind of get right into it today. You know, one thing that you and I, Nerdstorm and Bearded and I have kind of talked about is the fact that obviously in Dad Mode we talk about parenting. You're almost a brand new parent. Like I think your kid's like under 2 years old.
Yeah,
right?
He'll be 2 in February.
Oh wow!
All right,
it's crazy.
I didn't look stupid then. Good. So you're a brand new parent. Bearded has 5 kids.
Goodness.
Right? Yeah, I'm a lightweight at 2. But my kids are 10 and 12. His oldest is, I think, what, 15?
Yeah, 15. The youngest is 5 months.
Yeah, so he does have a newborn as well. But we want to kind of hear your perspective on what it's like as a brand new father, first time going through this. How's it kind of been like for you over this time?
It's been a crazy ride. I still remember the day that I found out that I was going to be a dad. It was kind of crazy. My wife, just so happens to, go to her, OBGYN, I guess just for a regular appointment or something. And, I drop her off. I go back to the house because it was literally right up the street. So, I just drop her off, go back to the house. And, I'm sitting there playing the game. 10 minutes later, she shoots me a text. I'm done. I'm okay. All right. Let me just go pick her up. I didn't think it was going to be that quick. So I go pick her up. And as soon as she gets in the car, and she says, I'm pregnant. I'm like, wait, what? But instantly, I was actually really excited because it was one of those things that I kind of always wanted, but at the time I just wasn't prepared for or whatnot. But it's been a wild ride because again, just something else that I'm just never going to forget is the moment that he was born, just, seeing him at that, my son at that moment. And it was just a crazy experience, because instantly I just started, crying. And I've never really shed happy tears or anything, if you will, but it's just one of those, oh my goodness, this life that I helped bring into this world is here, and I have something to fight for. I have something to build for, somebody to make sure that I can make them proud. So it's been a wild ride.
It's a lot of extra pressure, I guess, on yourself as well, that you don't accept. And just going a little bit back to where you started, you said you always wanted to be a dad, but you just wasn't sure when. And I always tell people with our kids, there's never a good time. It's never. No matter what you're planning, you're going to go, cool, I want to own this house, or I want to do this, I want to pay off this, I want to have the right job, I want to, whatever it is, the goal that they set in their life. The moment they get to that point, it's a new one. It's never the right time. It is. You adapt when you have children. It just happens. Everything just changes. It's not as it's daunting at first, I guess. But once it's out, everything you just evolve quickly as you're moving through it.
Yeah, I will say that when we had kids, everybody's like, "Oh, life changes." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's not. I'm going to be doing the same things I was always doing. It's what's the big deal?" And then it does, and then like everything changes. And Bearded and I talked about this a few weeks ago about how fatherhood has changed us, and it definitely does, and I think it affects everybody in different ways. But some of the more common things, and I'd love to hear your take on this, is finding time to do the things that I wanted to do was harder. Yeah. Just going out with my friends whenever I wanted to go out was harder. Or just having a date night with a wife was harder. Like everything, a little bit extra something to everything you're trying to do. I don't know if you've experienced that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially with being a content creator, I have to sit there and talk to my wife, way ahead of time.
Negotiating.
Whether or not. Got to negotiate. Something that, beforehand, I didn't necessarily have to do. I could just, go and do it. But now, because I have this whole extra responsibility, I've got to work around that because, being a father comes first, So you definitely got to put that stuff first. But it's definitely, put a little bit of a strain on, that part of my life. Not saying that that's a bad thing at all, but it's just it's been it's been a difficult thing to try and like process or whatnot throughout these last 2 years, if you will. But I've definitely gotten my foot in the door, so to speak. So yeah.
You'll find Beardo, your thoughts on this too. You'll find that it starts off like you don't know how to do it, and you're sort of just kind of figuring it out. But it does get a little easier as you're going along. For me, getting easier meant I was making sacrifices because I was a little resistant to kind of giving up the things that I used to do.
Yep.
I found that as I kind of gave in a little bit and compromised, that thought life got easier. I don't know about you, Bearded.
Yeah, no, it was much that and realizing what really was important, what wasn't that important to me, what I could give up, or what I could put aside and rest. And at the same time, and it's reoccurring to me, and I'm sure Nerd will know about it, is when they're young, children are real young, there's a lot more need because they can't sit up. They can't do this. They can't do a lot of things. And you notice it way more in those early 2-3 years of their lives. They get that independence slowly over time. It's, around nowadays, I can put my daughter down on the mat. She can play for 20 minutes, half an hour, and she's quite happy just doing her own thing. That's given me time to quickly go off and do something that I can do. I'm not holding a child the whole time. And I found that the older they're getting, the more of that time you're getting back, more ability for yourself and those, I guess, sacrifices in a way, you pick them back up later on.
Yep. So since your kids are a little under 2 years old, this probably, I think a lot of non-parents don't really get this part, where I really like them until they're 2 or around there, before they can really talk and before they can really walk. Because when Beardy said you can put his daughter down and she kind of there, I like that. I like putting my kids down somewhere and knowing that they're not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Or I like it when they just say things like "dada" versus "dad, you suck," at like they do at 10 and 12. So it's cool. I want to know that they can talk and walk, and then I want them to stop doing that.
Yeah, because we're at the point now where he's starting to reach those terrible 2s, and it's getting bad. it's getting bad because
it's fun.
It's kind of crazy because people used to tell me "Oh, you're gonna miss the newborn stage, or you're gonna miss the baby stage." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm tired. I'm tired of being tired, all the time. Like these sleepless nights, waking up, at 3:00 in the morning on the dot every single night. Like I was getting frustrated." But looking back at it now, I genuinely do miss those moments when he was, really small. I could hold him in my hand and now like he's big and he wants to jump up on the couch and run around.
Your arms are sore after 20 minutes of holding him. You could do 4 hours before.
He's like he's getting to that independent stage where like I'll say like no or don't do that, and he's still going to do it. Like he's broken our living room TV once already because he used to like to go up to it and just start smacking it. Yeah,
you know what? I've been there. Okay, so
and I wanted to hang up my TV, but the apartment I live in, I can't even do that. So it's like I just had to deal with it.
This is a distinct moment in my life that I constantly remember from my son. And it pops up on Facebook every so often, the same memory. Just has to remind me of the day it happened. He was about your son's age, actually, walking around doing things, and he came out from his room with like a spray bottle and a cloth, and he went to spray it on the TV. And I'm like, what are you doing? Because he could see handprints on the TV from him touching it. My mum was his daycare teacher, and they had gone over that week about germs, and they used lots of handprints on things to say that's where germs are. So he's come out to clean it like they were showing on in daycare. And I said, no, you don't do that. You don't use that. You don't do that to my TV. You don't do that. It'll break. So he went away, and I'm like, okay, we're back. Come back with his mouth like this. I'm like, what's he done? No. He put all the water into his mouth and then spat it onto the TV and then started wiping it. And I watched the TV as it started like generating these pink lines coming up from the bottom, and the screen just slowly started dying. I'm like, that same moment, I dropped my phone, my new phone. I smashed the screen on that. And that day, it was just a whole lot of broken screens in there.
It's one of those things where it's like, in that moment, you're kind of mad, but at the same time, you snap back into reality. I can't be mad at them because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So
I'd still bring it up.
This is one of those things you got to like.
But it's like, boy, as soon as you turn 18, I swear to God.
I tell him now because he's 12, so he completely gets it. I'm like, see this, you did this at your age. 10 years ago, you did this, mate.
I want to warn my son that I'm going to be standing over his bed at 11:59 before he turns 18, and then I'm just going to punch you in the. No, I'm kidding. No. But it's funny you're talking about how you could fit your son in your palm of the hand. My 12-year-old is 5'5" now, and I still have the picture of when he was born. A week or so later, he's sitting in the pocket of my hoodie.
Oh,
wow. And I'm like, oh, you were, and then, but you're freaking big. You're bigger than your mom. Like, you're only 5 inches shorter than me. What the hell?
My son, like, he's barely, he's not even 2 yet, and he's already half the height of my wife. My wife's kind of short. Yeah, my wife's kind of short. So you can only imagine, like, he's literally at her hip, and it's
not even crazy.
2. Yeah, he's not even 2. So I can only imagine how tall he's going to end up being.
Yeah,
so it's crazy.
I do love that when my wife's like, "You're getting so big." I'm like, "Nah, you're just really short."
Yeah, my wife hates it. She's 5'6", would be, and our 15-year-old's bigger, but the 12-year-old, he's half an inch off topping her at the moment, and I know the next one behind that, she's going to be tall too. And I'm looking at the fourth one, going, maybe you might not be as short. You might be that height. And then I'm looking at the baby going, who knows? Like, hopefully one of these children are going to stay smaller than you, else so you're just going to be the short one in the house.
Yeah, my wife's only 5'1". Or I can hear her yelling from the house, 5'1.5". Yeah, but whatever. So yeah, it doesn't take long to catch up to her.
So I guess one thing we talked about a couple of weeks ago was just evolving and bringing on some new skills that you just never knew you had in your repertoire. As a parent, have you found that along your journey so far?
Yes.
You just adapt. You're like Bear Grylls in the wild.
So I remember his first blowout, right? That he had. We were on a road trip to we were going to Atlanta, right?
Yep.
And my dad and my wife happened to go into Burger King, and I'm like, all right, I'll stay out here and change his diaper. Not thinking that, he's done, poop through his pants. So like I put the the little mat down, I pull his pants off, and as I pulling his pants off, I just start feeling it run down my arms. I'm like, so I'm like, I start panicking. I start panicking. So I was like, you know what? These pants are gone. We're not putting those back on. This is crazy. You adapt to certain situations.
I'll admit around that between the 1 and 2 ages where I started realizing that clothes were replaceable at certain stages. It's just things that's like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's just not worth it. Yeah. It's not worth that. It's not going to bother trying to clean this thing. I know what it happened to it. No matter how clean it is, I know what that looked like, 2 hours ago. So,
did either of you ever do cloth diapers or just disposables?
Disposables.
No,
we thought about cloths. We're
doing cloth a little bit at home. They're even more fun.
Are you?
What's a new? They're reusable diapers. They're not cloth like
they're not cloth. They're
not cloth from where I was, but it's like it looks like a diaper and it actually has buttons and folds up like a diaper. Like I don't know.
Okay.
It's not too bad. It seems.
No, it always seemed rough to me to do that. It just seemed like I don't want to touch this thing. But then like we had this thing a lot of people do, like the diaper genie, where you dump the thing in there.
I'll tell you what, diaper genies. I hate them.
My one thing about the diaper genie that I hate is when you fucking go to change it and you open the lid and it feels like Satan himself is kicking you in the face.
Yes.
My God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's the main reason that I do not like diaper genies, because in my eyes, like if I'm going to be messing with trash or whatnot, I would just rather mess with the trash. Let's just throw the diapers in the trash. It's gonna stink anyway. So it's like, why mess or waste money on like whole, 2 different types of trash bags, one for the diapers and then one for the actual trash can. So yeah.
I need to Google this thing to see if what I.
It's supposed. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like a bag, and then it spins around and ties the knot between the next one. Yeah, we got one of them.
Yeah.
We got one of them.
It's just a fancy trash can.
Yeah, we used it for, I want to say, about the first year, but this past year, like we said no. It's no point.
Yeah, my wife's tried retrofitting it into some other thing now. So
yeah, I can tell you, like when you're a brand new parent and you're in this stage too, you see all the stuff marketed for parents. So you're like, oh, I think I need this. I think I need that. I think I need that. By the time you have a second one, and Beardy can tell you about the time you have a fifth, it's like whatever.
Streamlined.
Here's regular silverware at like 6 months old. Whatever. Yeah,
because we have all types of like baby silverware and just stuff, for babies that we've either bought or parents have gifted us, and it's like you said, like I'm kind of starting to see like, was there really any point in spending money on this like at all? Because we've even thought about I think they're called the Montessori beds or method or whatnot. We wanted to try that, and talking about it with my wife, we were like, we could have did this from the start and just not have bought a crib and not have wasted money, because we have a whole extra mattress. So why didn't we just do that and just put like a railing around it? That'd have been a whole lot cheaper.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Those little beds, that's what we've been.
It's essentially just a mattress on the ground that allows them to have free will in their room and whatnot, as long as the room is baby proof. So
we have no free will in my house. There's a dadocracy. That's what we try to. I want to tell myself anyway, but
right,
it doesn't always work out that way.
No, I mean, I'm finding it nowadays we're a lot more streamlined than we were. We're pretty straightforward with this newborn. Okay, this didn't work. This was a waste. That was a waste. We do have the crib. We do have the change table, all those things still, just because, one, change tables at first when I was younger didn't give a crap about, because I could change them on a couch, bed, wherever,
Yeah.
Older I've gotten, my back doesn't like bending over onto weird angles to change children. So that change table is at a really damn good height for my back. All right. So, but the one thing that's changed, things have changed over time. What was available before is we got the capsule that goes into the car, and then you just take the capsule straight out and drop it straight onto the pram. Just clips, like the pram doesn't have a seat. It does, but that's for later. It's down the track. That comes off, and then you can just drop the capsule straight on, start pushing. And you get back to the car, you just take it straight off, chuck it in the car. There's no tightening her up. There's no fucking around with the weird angle in the car trying to.
Hate that.
Yeah, it's so good.
Is pram the same thing as stroller?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I'm trying to translate here. Okay.
Yeah.
Pram and stroller, sorry, same thing.
No, yeah, it's okay.
My thing is, the one thing that I hate about like car seats or whatever the case may be, like, how some car seats can either use the seat belt or they have like the
ISOFIX.
the little hooks and whatnot. They hook into the bottom of the seats. I hate doing those because my fingers always end up getting smushed trying to get them things out, or if I'm trying to undo them, it's just a hassle. And then on top of that, like, let's say he needs to go spend some time with his, grandparents or whatnot, so me and my wife can have, time to ourselves. I have to take the car seat out of my car and then put it into their car. And then when we get them back, I have to take it out of their car and put it back into my car.
My wife and I, we went back and forth on that. She swore by the seatbelt kind. I swore by the clip kind. And then it didn't take me too long to realize, the clip kind sucks. But then me being stubborn, I refused to admit that the clip kind was tough. So I just struggled with it till it was time, and she's listening to this now, but what she will realize how many times I pinch my finger. Nope, that's good.
I didn't have that issue. I didn't have that issue with mine. I actually like the clips because they're about 3 inches long when it's the clips right down the end, and you got plenty of room just to push it into the slot, and it clips without even having to put your fingers into the chair. And then there's this big red thing.
Half hour every time.
Yeah, there's this big red thing that hangs off the end. I just loop my finger into that and pull it, and the whole thing comes out.
Y'all should have seen me the first time I did it. Because at least where my son was born, they had us sign they had us take this waiver down to this seatbelt or the car seat specialist and the hospital before we could take him home.
Yeah.
And they were showing me how to properly install a car seat and whatnot. They're like, all right, now it's your turn to do it. I'm like, okay. So it literally took morphs. It took me 30 minutes. I'm sitting there. I'm down. Mind you, I'm a big guy, right? So I'm down there sweating, just trying to fasten the thing. And then I turn around to the lady. She's just chuckling. I'm like, this isn't funny. This is no laughing matter. This is life or death for my child, right?
Yeah. But what's funny is when you leave the hospital, that's the one thing they do. They make sure that you know how to put a car seat in. Yeah. And that's it. And it's like, why didn't you teach me about how to be a damn parent? Because I don't know anything else. All I know how to do is sort of put a car seat in.
See, they let me know that I'm going to be up all night for the next 48 hours.
They were totally different for us, especially this time around. Every time someone came over to talk to us about something, it's like, oh, do you have children? You go, yeah, we got 4 hours at home. Okay. And just walk off from us. It's like, you know what you're doing. We're done. We're done with that.
Right. Yeah, you're an expert now.
Yeah. But yeah, the first one is definitely it's definitely a trip. You're overprotective about everything. Every little thing that goes, like the little cough. Oh my God, what's going on with you definitely get that way. And I mean, you still feel that with the other kids, but you get used to things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get used to things. But you still, that level of protectiveness that you feel for your kid. We were going back and forth on Twitter or something about that, where I never felt like I would actually give my life for somebody until I had my kid.
Yes.
And even when I'm mad at my kid and I'm in my brain, I'm like, I don't like you right now. I still love them, and I would still, do what I ever have to do to keep them safe. But I found that as soon as I became a parent, I became a little shadow protective of other people's kids. If I see in public, a kid doing something dangerous, or I know, and some people are gonna hate the way, but people walk around, I'm like, you wearing that, leaving the house? I'm like, that's not even my kid. That's not even my kid. Turn around and walk
Where's your hat? Have you put sunscreen on today?
Right.
Where's your jacket? It's too cold out here.
Yeah, I'm definitely judging other parents if I see their kid with a sunburn. I'm definitely judging them.
Oh yeah.
I like the fact that a lot of my friends now that have children, it's you go to like a gathering, we're having dinner or something at someone's house, and there's a whole group of kids and different parents. I feel sorry for those kids because every one of my friends' parents nearly the same way as I do. There is constant eyes from multiple angles, so no one's getting away with anything when there's that many parents around. And I don't have no problems. I'm like, just go for it. If they got to go, oi, you shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
I know they're doing. They're yelling out for the right thing. It's probably something I would yell at anyway.
Yeah, that's that saying they had back, probably when I was growing up was like, it takes a village, right? So depending on, if you're living in a smaller community or whatever, just lots of people around, like, it's like, hey, it's okay if you yell at my kid. Like, they probably deserve it, like sometimes it helps when there's other adults who have no problem, speaking out to your kid or showing them something or disciplining them when they need to be disciplined. I don't have the problem that my kid is doing something stupid, yell at them.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yep.
I mean, unless
the voice of God
being an asshole about it, but
it's always
me and my wife are kind of on the same thing. Like, we're going the gentle parent route, if you will. Yeah. Not saying that's it's a bad or or even a good.
You go for every style. You go for every.
Yeah, style. Yeah. We tried everything, like because
it's a super nanny stage at one stage where it's like this is a timeout corner. I remember
especially
that one.
like now when he's as he's a toddler, like. I'm trying to be a little bit more stern with him, so that way he can get it in his head like, all right, dad means business, because I want to get to the point, and this may just be me just being unrealistic about the whole situation, but I just want to get to the point to where I could just give him a look and he already knows.
It comes.
That's what I want.
It comes.
That's what you want.
It's just you just hear this. You just start making a noise, and they already know where that noise is leading to. It's instant terror. Oh crap! I've done something wrong. He's about to say something. I was gonna say it's at that age and learning that whole how do we discipline? How do we what works? Because every child's different too. Every child's different. But my son. He always comes up at the show because he's the one that fucking causes the most interesting moments. He had the bed that was off, the low bed, his first bed. And I still remember he used to, like at night, one night, he was just sitting there flipping his mattress out, like hop out and just flip the mattress out of the bed. Like just wouldn't go to bed sleep. Prison rules kicked into me. I was a warden that night. It's like all of a sudden the door just goes swung straight open. I'm in there. The sheets come off. They go onto the ground, and I pick up the whole bed and the frame, and I take it back out of the thing. And there you go. There's your bed. You sleep on the floor now if you want this. His face was crying. I've got the photo of it. Him crying. Maybe half an hour. Do you want your bed back? We're not throwing our bed around in this room. If you want it, I'll have it back. I'll have it back.
Yeah. Having the dad look is great. Our bedroom is upstairs. If I hear the kids early in the morning, like my wife is arguing with them, all I have to do is kind of, when I step out of bed, like step out like loud with a bang, and they know I'm out of bed. And then, okay, fine. Like I don't even have to come downstairs because they know. But I think the greatest gift that every dad gets as soon as they have a kid is the gift of the dad voice. Yes. I don't know why it's so impactful, but that's all you need. It's the dad voice. Your wife can say it 100 times. You'd be like, and you just say, really? And then instantly, sorry, I'll go do the thing now.
Yeah.
It's great.
The wives hate it too, because how come you can say that? How come you can say this one thing? Why is it that you only have to give them a look? It's like, oh, you got to work on your style, woman.
Yeah. And some people, they incorrectly assume that, like, you're rough with them. And I'm like, I don't say I do gentle parenting, but I've never touched my kid, right? For me, gentle parenting is someone who grew up getting beat. Like my gentle parenting is just me not doing what was done to me when I was growing up. Yeah. So I see that doesn't help anybody, But I feel like you can talk to your kid and reason with them and hopefully they will get it and they'll be able to understand things without having to get punished too much,
Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely the dad voice. Does it seem to work for you yet?
It's yes and no, because like I said, he's still in that, or he's getting into that terrible two spot. So he listens, and then he doesn't listen. Like if I say no, like he'll kind of stop, but he'll keep going. But the moment that I stand up is when he'll like, okay, yeah, let me just step back.
He's still finding his own ground at that age, though. He's still trying to work out how it all feels and where that stands with you, what he can get away with as well. He's going to test the boundaries in every way you could imagine. And that's fine. It's a part of the fun. It's frustrating at times. At other times, it's hilarious when you see some of the stuff they try and do because you know how it's going to end. Yes. You warn them, you're like, I wouldn't be doing that if I was you. And they're looking at you like, well, stuff you. I am going to do this, Dad, because you can't tell me what to do. And then, whatever happens. And then the next thing they're looking at your face like, you were right. You knew what you were doing. I shouldn't have been doing this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I will say that one thing that I guess it shouldn't have surprised me because kids when they're born, they literally know nothing, right?
Yeah.
But the number of things that I have to tell somebody to do or not to do, right? Like, don't stick this in a light socket. Don't, don't try to poke the dog's eyes. Don't, like all these things like you tell people just not to do because you're gonna die. Like it's I think that's the most exhausting part is realizing that every moment that they're, living in your house, your job is to have them not die. It's like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this.
It doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better. They're still doing it at 15. I think they're going to be doing it their whole damn life. Probably. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if my parents are still telling me that type of stuff. And it's probably great that I'm a few hours away from them that I can't hear that.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the things that we've, had to constantly get. We have a fireplace in our apartment, and he just, for whatever reason, I don't know why he's so fascinated with it, and he'll like to climb up on it and then walk across it like it's some stage. I'm like, bro, those are like slick, like bricks or concrete. You're gonna fall. And it's like multiple times where he's just like, boom, or like hit his head, boom, and then he'll look around and he's like, like I told you,
they're bounceable. They're soft and squishy at that age. They can accept a lot more pain. What you think would hurt probably doesn't hurt them as bad as what you think at times because their bones are still flexible. Everything's still flexible in their little bodies.
But at my age, it takes me like a week to recover from that from anything.
Yeah, I mean, I fell down the stairs once, and that was 14 breaks. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember that when I think I was about 3 years old. I fell down. I thought it'd be funny. So I kind of fell down the stairs in an apartment I was living in, then I think I bounced right up. Ha 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 ha. Now I'd be like, I'm in traction, baby. Gotta bring me to the hospital. I think I'm dying. It's not the same. Let me ask you this though. What's one thing that has surprised you about having kids?
I think the one thing that has surprised me the most is even if he's like doing a whole bunch of stuff that's like getting on my nerves, if you will, or he's just doing stuff in general, like I'm happy, like I'm kind of always in a state of like, I'm glad that you are in my life, for better or worse, I'm glad that you're here. And it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy because there will be multiple times where like he's just sitting there or like I said, just doing some stuff he's not supposed to. I'm just looking at him like, I really have a kid and I am thoroughly happy and excited to be your father. And I literally have that, that thought pop in my head literally daily, and it's crazy. it's crazy.
It's funny because I'm simultaneously being like, what a wholesome thing to say, and like I'm remembering that, and then I'm balancing that with like, and Bud, if you're listening, I apologize for what you're about to hear, but my wife and I will sometimes look at each other and just think, God, our son's a dick,
all the time,
all the time. But the next instant, you're like, I would do anything for you. Stop being a dick.
My son showed up last weekend with his nose pierced. That took me a lot to process.
He didn't ask?
No, his mum took him to go do that. And his mum's it's like, I've gone and picked him up, and that's how he is. And I'm looking at going, huh. Just, she's like, oh, it's a thing. All boys do it nowadays. I'm like, huh. Okay. Like, even, that was a week ago. We were out shopping yesterday, and my wife said, oh, maybe we should buy him a new, ring or something for his nose. And I'm like, look, I still haven't actually absorbed that into my body yet as accepting. Let's just not to bring it up at the moment. Like, I'm still trying to comprehend what happened. Why did he do this? Yeah.
It's like when I came home at a day or two after I turned 18 with my first tattoo. I walked in and my mom was just, her mouth dropped. She's like, what is that? That comes off, right? I'm like, no, I'm 18 now. Yeah, that took her a good couple of years to grow into the fact that I had permanently changed my body in a different way. Because your parents, it doesn't matter how big you are, how grown you think you are, your parents still see you as that kid that they raised.
Yep.
They will always see you as that kid they raised.
Yep.
And it's hard to not. When I look at my boy, my older, who's 12, and I'm like, man, in 4 years you can drive, in 6 years you'll be in college.
Yeah.
And 20 years you're gonna have kids, because that's how long I'm telling him he's got to wait. No, but it's crazy to think about that, like how quick the time really does go, how quick it absolutely goes, and then they're just adults, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Yeah, I even feel like that now. Like, I know it's only been 2 years for me, but still, it's crazy that I've been a dad for 2 years at this point, and technically, if you going by societal standards, only got 16 more years left. Well, it's wild. 2 years have gone by that fast, because it still feels like I know this is cliche, but it still feels like yesterday that I just saw him get popped out.
I mean, it always will. It always will, and that stuff will never go away. But we've been going on for a bit, so I'm thinking let's just wrap it up here. We'll just continue this back tomorrow. Every time we have a guest on, it just never seems to be able to fit in with half an hour for some reason. So tune back tomorrow for part 2 with Nerdstorm.
You've been listening to Dad Mode. Our passion is navigating this wild journey of parenthood and modern life. From balancing family time to managing your career and still squeezing in some gaming and content creation. And no matter what the women say, they will never be able to pry the controller out of our cold, dead hands. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, find us on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Dad Mode Podcast. And we can be found on every podcast site at Dad Mode Podcast. Y'all be cool. See you next time.